Good morning to you, Mark Sudduth, HurricaneTrack.com here with your Hurricane Pro and Hurricane HD video discussion on 90L off the southeast coast this morning. Take a look at the satellite picture, the infrared loop. You can clearly see that it is better organized than it was this time yesterday, but it still has that general comma shape to it overall. A lack of organization means that it is more than likely structurally a subtropical system still, rather than a more wound up, better organized tropical storm. And in this case, it really doesn't matter. The effects are generally going to be the same, and that is that we can expect some bands of rain, as you see now, coming into the Carolina coastline with the center, loosely defined center out here over the warm Atlantic Ocean. If we zoom in to the National Weather Service radar out of Wilmington, and let me go look at the PNG version of that graphic, easier to pull up and zoom in on, you can see that here's the I-95 corridor, and this is important right here because this is a major thoroughfare for travel, interstate commerce. And yeah, there is some rain impacting the I-95 region, but in only a small area of South Carolina. This is US 7476 out of Wilmington, and this is I-40 coming out of Wilmington, and then Highway 17 runs up through this way, and you can see that that corridor of travel, not too bad right now. Along the coast, a little bit of rain shower activity from the Crystal Coast down towards almost to Wrightsville Beach, and then offshore some of these bands trying to organize. This is going to be a fairly slow-moving system, and it'll probably creep its way up. We'll look at the track forecast in just a minute. But overall, it looks like the Carolinas here will be receiving the brunt of this system, meaning heavy rain at times, not widespread, and certainly not like we would see in a pure tropical system, or especially a hurricane. Breezy conditions at the coast, and certainly some rough surf. An analysis that shows the pressure field. Clearly you can see the center of circulation trying to organize in here, and this is where that deep convection is. Just a little bit of it here, a little lobe of it on the east side, a little bit more of it over here, farther away from there, and then another lobe of convection. And convection is simply a fancy word for upward motion in the atmosphere, like a convection oven. Heat rises, and this is shower and thunderstorm activity. That's what we mean when we say convection. The rest of these clouds are generally low, not very thick, and you can see it's loosely organized as a whole, so it's probably still structurally a subtropical system. And like I said, even if it becomes a tropical storm, it'll matter very little because the impacts will be minimal, to say the least. Now, in the sea surface temperature department, again, it's sitting over, well, let's take this away and start over. Right now it's located generally right in here. Yes, there is a few patches, I should say, grammatically correct, of warm enough water to support development of this system, but overall, water temperature is marginal to subpar across the region where it's trying to get going. And even the departures from normal, yes, they are a little bit warmer than they should be, those sea surface temperatures in the West Atlantic. Still, it's only May the 7th, and water temperatures, and especially upper ocean heat content, the amount of actual fuel in the ocean, not very solid right now, and so this system doesn't have very much to work with. That's May 7th, for goodness sakes. Looking at that track forecast, for the most part, it looks like it's going to head off towards the northwest with time, towards the South Carolina coast, then maybe turning to the north and northeast into North Carolina. And that's going to be a fairly slow process over the next day or two. And so the threat of heavy rain, breezy conditions, rough surf, rip currents at the beaches, that's going to be a problem. But those impacts will all be on the low side. They're there. So you have to take, heed of that and make sure you take it easy if you're driving, stuff like that, common sense. You don't want something like a weak tropical storm to ruin your weekend by driving too fast in the rain and you have a wreck, and there you go. You become a casualty of what could be subtropical storm or tropical storm Anna, and a very weak one at that. So common sense prevails, right? And all should be well. The intensity forecast for the different model output, some of them keep it just kind of weak. Others, the more statistical models, indicating maybe it becomes a tropical storm, 40, 45 miles per hour. Again, that's going to be confined to the coastal areas more than likely, and in any of these heavier rain squalls that come on shore, those would have brief gusty winds, but again, we're not talking about anything that should do more than rustle the leaves a little bit more than normal. You might be able to hear it a little bit. Maybe the rain lashes your windshield, and that is the extent of it. It'll be interesting. The kids might like to look out the window and see it. And heck, in something like this with very little, if any, lightning, go outside in the yard and play in the rain a little bit. Just stay away from any swollen creeks, rivers, rain, culverts, whatever. Again, common sense, right? But since it's not a hurricane, hey, let the kids go play with their rain boots on and have a good time in it. One of the rare chances you can do that before it gets too dangerous. All right, well, that is it from me for today. We'll keep an eye on what's going on, and we'll see what happens. Again, I am Mark Sudduth for HurricaneTrack.com, my website, and, of course, for Hurricane Pro in HD. I'll have more for you here tomorrow.